Welcome to No Spoilers, the only anime podcast to ominously foreshadow the second episode in the first episode. I think the detective genre is kind of
It's not really touched.
kind of an
It
untapped
hasn't
market,
been
yeah. Serial detective type show that only goes for like a season or two, where you have a lot of kind of like weird things going on. Like just a large cast of characters with like kind of not a lot of build up. You kind of just get thrown into this thing. Something like that. I'm John,
And I'm Andrew.
and thanks for sitting down with us, guys. Kind of wish I knew what It Invaded was before I said that. Andrew and I have. Well, it's been a little while since our last release. You're actually coming back from PAX East, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
It's been a minute.
It's nearly 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A little more, I think.
I think a little more. But since
kinda
then,
an opportune time, but
yeah, since then, we have watched It Invaded, and we've been pretty enthralled. Pretty good show, I think. But that's actually
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
main topic of this episode, so we'll get to that shortly. But first, we got a little something to talk about.
So I forgot to do this in the first episode. I think because it was more of a test run than anything. But we never really gave our picks, our likes or dislikes of anime. And I feel
Yeah.
like we should have done that to kind of introduce ourselves to anybody listening. Hello, anybody listening.
Yeah.
This is what we like.
Yes.
If you want to talk about your top five, then I'll talk about my top five. Just to kind of get a general idea of what we like.
True. Well, I'll start off with this one. We have like a little document to go over for the episode. And both of our top five, we share one show, and that would be,
Hunter x Hunter.
people are not gonna like me for this. I don't know if I talked about it in episode 1 because it's been a little while, but I've always called it Hunter x Hunter. I know the official name
Yeah, it's Hunter x Hunter.
is Hunter x Hunter, but
I don't think.
you know what?
I think there's 0%
You can
of the world that calls it that.
No, I don't think I've heard a single other person besides like our friend group call it Hunter x Hunter. But guess what, folks? I don't care. Cancel me.
It's fine.
So yeah, we both really like that show, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Really good show. Pretty interesting because it's one of the real archetypes, I would say, for shonen. Most people, me included, came into contact with it through the 2011 anime, which is obviously very well done. But, it's pretty easy to forget that Hunter x Hunter actually predates Dragon Ball Z, right? Truly the granddaddy
really?
of them
The
all.
original?
Yes. Well, no, I don't think
See, I've
I don't
never
think
even
the
seen the
original
original.
Dragon Ball, but I think Dragon Ball Z.
Really?
Yes. So,
Hmm.
it truly is the granddaddy of them all. A lot of the really great things we see in other anime, I guess other shonen, come from Hunter x Hunter. Really not even a bad arc, right? The worst arc, in my opinion, is Greed Island. Kind of didn't really like it. Also, I saw it after, like literally right after watching SAO. So I
Right.
was like, this
Yeah,
is
okay.
like,
Yeah.
this is baby SAO. So wasn't
Little
really
did
big
you
for me.
know.
Yeah, I recently rewatched it with my girlfriend actually, and it wasn't as bad as I remember. And especially the early season, I guess the early arcs were pretty good, way better than I would have thought in retrospect.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter is one of the very few shows or movies that I have listed as a 10 on my anime list.
Same.
My scores aren't
Actually, I don't think I have it as a 10.
really critically accurate, I guess you would say.
Yeah, but-
For me, they're accurate as a fan, really more than as
Mm-hmm.
a critic approaching things from a critical perspective. But yeah, it's really that and 5 other things, 2 of which are actually on my top 10
Mhm.
or my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do a top 5. It is. It's hard to really distill 5 shows out of all the genres that you can say this is it.
I feel pretty good about my top 5. I'll kind of speed through. We'll try to speed through. We'll end up talking about them for a while.
Yeah, we probably
Akagi I talked about a lot. on the last
Yeah.
episode, probably more than any podcast has ever talked about Akagi.
And I think I cut it down, so you probably only
Yeah.
talked about it for maybe a minute.
Probably still the most that any podcast has ever talked about Akagi.
Yeah.
But really good show. The type of show that
And
I
you
think a
showed me
lot of people, yes. And it was actually originally shown to me by our good friend Guy.
Oh, was it really?
It was. And I was very hesitant. I'm like, this show looks like shit. The characters look stupid. Why is his nose so big? But
It's a very different art style,
yes,
that's for sure.
but I think like it's very different, but I don't think it's bad. And in fact, I've seen like I don't know if it was Super Eye Patch Wolf, but somebody on YouTube did a video about like how that art style, it's very good at showing expression, which very much suits the type of show that it is. There's a lot of scenes where people are anxious and people are completely and utterly defeated.
Yeah.
I don't really want to spoil too much. Basically, it's a show about a young boy who figures out that he is the god of mahjong. He's so good. Not in the way I describe it there, it sounds like very Shokugeki no Soma, I think.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. It's very much like he reaches mastery at such a point that even though he's playing people who are better than him at the start of the match, he starts playing mind games with them by the middle of the match. It's very nice. I really like it.
Yeah, and I haven't seen all of it, but from what I have,
You haven't seen all of it?
From what you showed me, no, I think I've only seen up to episode 7 or 8.
Oh,
I know, I need to finish it. I think it was at a time where anything I started, I kind of dropped.
It's really good.
It was during school, which was
Yeah.
just a difficult time for me to really get into anything. But I know it was very unique, and I definitely want to finish it.
Obviously, it's my top 5. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. So for my top 5, we already obviously discussed Hunter x Hunter.
Uh-huh.
And this is really in no particular order, but Steins Gate. Everyone has seen Steins Gate, except for you. You are
not true. Not true. I won't have this blasphemy against me. I have seen...
How many episodes? 1 episode?
No, I've seen... I want to say I've seen 8 episodes. 13
You really
episodes,
should finish
folks.
You've seen
13.
half of it. You might as well finish it at this point.
Nah, not going to finish it.
Well, my top 5 are a little... I guess I would say
good
more
show, though.
mainstream. It is a very good show.
For the people who haven't seen Steins Gate, what is Steins Gate about?
Well, John, off the top of my head, the self-proclaimed mad scientist Rintaro Okabe rents out a room of a rickety old building in Akihabara, where he indulges himself in his hobby of inventing prospective future gadgets with fellow lab members Mayuri Shina, his airheaded childhood friend, and Hashira Itaru, a perverted hacker nicknamed Daru. The three pass the time by tinkering with their most promising contraption yet, a machine dubbed the phone microwave, which performs the strange function of morphing bananas into piles of green gel. I forgot about that part too, actually.
Yeah.
Though miraculous in itself, the phenomenon doesn't provide anything concrete in Okabe's search for a scientific breakthrough. That is, until the lab members are spurred into action by a string of mysterious happenings before stumbling upon an unexpected success. The phone microwave can send emails to the past, altering the flow of history.
Yeah,
I love that premise.
Yeah, I like the premise a lot because
yeah,
I think a lot of shows kind of make the mistake of being too formulaic in how events happen, right? But like that premise is like, wow, we just happened upon this totally weird phenomenon and we're going to assume that we understand how it happens and like what it means.
Time. And that's also,
it
we can relate
unfolds
that
in a
to
totally
It
different
Invaded.
way. Yeah.
Sort of. In a way, yeah. In the way that they, operate. And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
It's excellent. I love time travel. That's one of my big, I guess, what I look for in a show. If it has time travel, you've hooked me even before the first episode.
So like Erased.
Obviously, it has to play out well. Yes, Erased. That's in my honorable mentions, actually. Yeah. There are kind of alternate stories associated with this too. I mean they're really different stories, but the author kind of puts them in the same universe to a degree. You've got Chaos Head, Robotics Notes, Chaos Child, and Occultic 9. I mean, the only one I've seen besides this is Robotics Notes, and I really liked Robotics Notes. I don't normally like mech anime, but I really liked Robotics Notes. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. I definitely want to revisit it. It's definitely
Never
not as
seen
good
it.
as Steins Gate, but yeah, how do you feel about mech anime in general? We can just
Not
tangent right
not
here.
super highly. I don't think I've
Yeah.
really seen a mech anime that I really liked.
Well, you haven't seen Code Geass.
I haven't seen Code Geass. That's correct.
Code Geass is by far my favorite mech anime. Actually, I should have put this in the honorable mentions. It's one of my favorite shows ever, I think. Seasons 1 and 2 are very, very strong, I think. And I think it ends really well, too.
So
It's a smart show. It's one of those smart shows.
uh-huh. Next one on the top 5, we have Megalobox, which I think a lot of people probably will have seen. Very recent, very critically acclaimed.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it, but
This and
definitely heard a lot
Akagi
of good
are my only two 10s on my anime list.
really?
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter isn't a 10 for me, only because I think it's so hard to have like a 10 for 148 episodes, right? It's much more manageable for 13 or 26 like Megalobox and
Yeah.
Akagi. It just like, some episodes on Hunter x Hunter kind of feel a little slow, and like again, it's not their fault, right?
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
in terms of shonen, it's the best shonen, I think, but
I
I
would agree with
gotta
that
dock it a little bit.
wholeheartedly.
Megalobox, it's just really good. I from start to finish, I really enjoyed the characters. I kind of like the fact that from the beginning, the end is sort of set, right?
Is it really? Do you want to explain a little bit what it's about?
I think so.
too,
Have you seen it?
for people that haven't seen? No, I haven't seen it at
Oh,
all. I know it's
really?
about boxing. I
It's
know
not
that
about
is
boxing. It's about
it's not about boxing.
it's about
okay.
megaloboxing. So
All right.
So megaloboxing, it's set in this like somewhat dystopian future world, and we follow the protagonist who at the beginning of the show doesn't have a name. He's known only by I think it's either Junkyard Dog or Junk Dog, and he is a megaloboxer, which is like boxing except you have like those machines that soldiers have that they're like exosuits kind of to help them lift things.
right.
It's like that, except for boxing, right? He has like an exosuit to help him box.
Uh-huh.
But at the beginning, he's a really good fighter who, because he doesn't have a name and he's not a citizen of this country that they're in, he can't fight officially because he doesn't have like almost like a passport or an ID or a social security number, right? So he can't fight officially. He has to fight unofficially. But if he really fought all out, he wouldn't be able to make any fights because he just beat the shit out of everybody, right?
Mhm.
So he has to throw fights, even though it's the only thing that he enjoys doing. And he's with this coach who is like a real like piece of work and is like, next time I'll let you go all out, but you got to throw this fight in the third round because we got to make some money, right?
Yeah.
Because this guy owes a lot of money to like the mob. And in episode 1, he runs into the champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who also is dating like the head of the company that runs Megaloboxing, and he runs into
Right,
both
yeah.
of them, and he's like, and there's a big tournament coming up to crown the best Megaloboxer, period, right? And he's like, I wanna fight you and become the best Megaloboxer ever, right? And then the champion shows up at the underground fight club that he fights at, and they fight. And and the champion kind of beats the shit out of him, right? But the show is going to end with them fighting each other, right? From that point, it's going to end like that. So you're not really... there's certainly dramatic thrust towards that, and you're always... Not always, but there are a lot of points where it's like, will you really be able to do it, right? But because that is out of the way, it really lets the narrative focus on character development and relation development. And I think that the characters are really what draws you in to keep watching. There's also like really great animation. So it was, I don't know, I haven't actually seen like proof from the studio or anything about this, but supposedly the show is filmed in like 1080, or like drawn and filmed in 1080, and then like downgraded to 480 and then re-upgraded to 1080. So it has like this like Cowboy Bebop 90s style anime aesthetic to it, even though it's like
Really?
really, yeah, like created using tools of like 2019. Really great show. Of course, like I said, highly recommend it.
We've got Steins Gate. We've got Toradora. To probably no one's surprise, I love Toradora. It is.
I couldn't get into it.
It's probably my favorite. Well, you don't like rom-coms as much as I do.
I tried watching it with my girlfriend.
I watched it by myself alone, and I had a great time.
That's another Jesus arm wrestling the devil.
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
I watched it with my girlfriend. I didn't really like it. I watched it alone. It was great. Anyway, so what is Toradora about? Because
Toradora.
I've only seen like I said, I think I said I've only seen 3 episodes.
Yeah. So Toradora, and I should have gathered more info on this because I know the voice actors are in other things that you would recognize, especially Taiga. Her voice actress is in a lot of stuff. But if I could explain it in
Don't read the synopsis.
my own words. Okay. So essentially, you have Ryuji. He's a mean-looking high school student. His dad is, I think, a Yakuza member who has since left them. His mom is a very lovable person. He is extremely nice. Taiga, Ryuji, kind of bumps into her and she knocks him out, just clocks him, right? And then they kind of get intertwined through their mutual friends, who I think this show really benefits from the supporting characters. And they're listed as main because they have so much screen time, but I mean, realistically, it's Ryuji and Tiger are the 2 main.
So it's really just a well done rom-com.
It's I think labeling it a well done rom-com is I think it's a little above. No, I think it's a lot above your general rom-com. I haven't done this with many shows. I can count on my hand, I think, the amount of times I've done this with shows. I've watched this 4 times completely.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's how much I like this show.
Next show, we've got Space Brothers. Again, last episode, I think we talked about Space Brothers.
Right, yeah, we did.
For probably the most that any podcast has ever talked about Space Brothers. Again, kind of said my piece with it. It's a good show. I think it's like actually really funny. It almost has the vibe of not a sitcom, but like a funny drama. I would say it's definitely like a drama in terms of the character of the show. It really focuses on, well, I don't know if I gave like a straight up explanation, but the main character is this guy Nanba Muta, and he's kind of like, I think he's an engineer by trade, loses his job, and his older brother, his younger brother, very important that it's his younger brother, is the first Japanese person to walk on the moon, right? Or he's going to be.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to be, right? He's been like accepted in the program, and both of them, since they were children, have really dreamt of going to space. And whereas Nanba gave up on that dream, his little brother Hibito never did. And really just so eventually Nanba seeks out the Japanese Aeronautical Association to become an astronaut, and it follows his journey to becoming an astronaut while also following Hibito's journey to like find his greatest success in life in walking on the moon. Really just like kind of heartwarming, kind of touching. Again, also kind of funny. Just kind of hits all the right notes. Occasional like drama, but not really. Just kind of a nice story about like aspiration and working to achieve your goals.
My next show is something probably a lot of people have seen. ReZero, you've seen 1 episode or none at all? I don't remember what we said last time. Whoopsie.
I've seen it like half of an episode.
Yeah.
They just introduced the mechanic, I think, that he dies and comes back.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and there's
but
there's a lot of stuff I said last episode that was kind of right, but mostly wrong. I'm not going to
okay.
correct a lot of that because whatever. We talked about that enough last time. I don't think I need to go over it again. He
Yeah.
dies. He comes back. It's time travel. It's a hidden secret. Another thing I really love. If you look, anime producers out there, if you give me a show with time travel and a secret reveal, I'll give it a 10. That's not true. I won't give it a 10. But I'll watch it 100%. That's my show right there. And romance, too. If you combine all three of those, you've got a show. And that's ReZero to an extent. It's not listed on there in the genres. It's psychological, drama, thriller, fantasy. But you can add romance in there a little bit. It's a little bit of romance. It's definitely deserving.
And then the last one, Mawaru Penguin Drum. Folks, if you wanna,
This is out there.
if you wanna watch something crazy,
I've seen 11 episodes of this.
yeah, I haven't finished it.
Chair Squeaks is coming back.
We have a friend of ours who's actually going to be on this episode of the podcast, folks. Who I'm actually watching Mawaru Penguin Drum with, and we
Still, it's been 4 years.
yeah, it's probably
ever
been
gonna
something like
finish
4
it?
years. We haven't finished it, folks. It just hasn't been a good time. I think we're on episode like 16 of 24. Very good show. Very like that's a show that kind of hits you with like a screwball at the end of every episode, where you're like, oh, everything is different now. Like it recontextualizes everything every couple episodes, where it just builds these levels of like depth to character action in a way that, like, in my experience, is only really paralleled by a show by the same creator, which came out also this year.
Oh yes,
Sarazanmai. And I'm sure we'll talk about that.
We'll
someday.
do that. Yeah, we'll do probably a whole episode on Sarazanmai.
Maybe.
It deserves its own. I think
Yeah.
at least its own part of an episode.
Yeah.
It's
Good
really
show. Good show. But yeah, really likes to. You think you're kind of getting a hang of it, and then it's like, nope. Guess again.
My last of my top 5, of course, something we also talked about last episode is my teen romantic comedy Snafu. And I think I went at great length talking about this last episode, so I'm not gonna subject you to me gushing about it for 10 minutes. But we can talk about our honorable mentions for sure.
Sure. And just like just like our top 5, our first honorable mention overlaps. Parasite.
100% Parasite.
Yeah, good show. I hesitate in putting it in my top 5 only because I think the middle is kind of a little slow.
Yeah.
Right after he
it does kind of suffer from pacing
when he becomes
a little bit.
like bad boy
Yeah.
Shinichi, I'm like, this isn't that great. But other than that, like, really good show. I like especially I really like the growth that Shinichi goes through through the episodes. Really nice. I like the final showdown a lot. When I first saw the I think his name was Goto.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yep.
Oh, whatever.
When I first saw
whenever I saw the main antagonist like recovering, I think he was in the forest. It was like late at night. It actually freaked me out. I was like, oh,
yeah, right.
Uh-oh. And then like
there's something so unsettling about it too.
I like some of the side characters. I really like Tamiya Ryoko. She was, I think, a really like she started off as just like kind of like classic played out antagonist, but really developed into a deeper character than I was expecting.
And with the
baby
this too.
Pretty interesting.
That was oh man.
Something
about this.
Really like that
so
show.
unsettling.
Do you have anything to add?
Parasite's also one of the ones that I watched twice. I think I watched Parasite
I've also
twice.
seen it twice.
I think the first time it was just like, wow. And then the second time, knowing the things it's just like, this is really good. You just got to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it to anybody listening. As far as my other honorable mentions, I have Punchline. Punchline is probably not that well known. You know what? Actually, I'd bet money that it's very few people have seen this. It is ranked 3,380 on MAL. It's got a 7.06 rating. it's one of those, it's like Kekai Sensen, where it is definitely overlooked. It's definitely underrated. But I have to read this synopsis for you, just to show you why this would be a turnoff for a lot of people. After escaping a bus hijacking with the help of a masked superhero, Strange Juice, Yuta Iradatsu finds his soul separated from his body and in the care of a perverse cat spirit, Chiranosuke. As a spirit, Yuta wanders around his residence, the Kurai house, aiming to regain his body and observe the other residents, Meika, a genius inventor, Mikatan, a cheerful idol, Ito, a shut-in NEET, and Rabura something, a spiritual medium. After catching a glimpse of Narugino's undergarments, Chiranosuke reveals to Yuta that he becomes exponentially stronger upon seeing panties. However, if he sees another pair while he's still a spirit, his power will cause an asteroid to crash into the earth, ending the world and killing his friends. So
that sounds like your kind of show.
You can see why that would be probably not something many people would pick up. I gave this a 9, and I stand by that. I think it's not perfect, but it's definitely one of the most underrated shows I've ever seen. And I think last episode I thought about it and I brought it up, but I couldn't remember the name. But Punchline, if anyone hasn't seen it and they're looking for a quick 12-episode series that they'll be surprised at, to say the least, definitely pick up Punchline. And it's Mappa. They've also done that show about the terrorist, which I think I've seen most of, and I keep forgetting it. Yeah.
What show?
It's called Zankyu no Terror, which I think just means
I've
thank
heard
you,
of that.
What does that actually mean? No, it means Terror in Resonance or Terror in Tokyo. Yeah, it's a really weird show, but it's pretty good. Still very bizarre. Okay. Such a bizarre show. I think in the first episode, one of the characters goes to America and is waving a gun outside of the White House, just for a reference. Sick. That's what you get in the first episode, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, it's something. It's really something.
Shout out to Studio Mappa.
Yeah.
And then my other honorable mention is Planet With. It's a show that I don't think I've only heard one person talk about it, and you know what? I'll name drop. Shout out to my man, Mother's Basement, friend of the pod. You're welcome on any time, bro. You've hooked me up with Planet With. You've hooked us up with, actually, It Invaded is actually a recommendation from Mother's Basement. Yes. Okay. I hate to say it.
No, that's a really good recommendation.
Another good recommendation from Mother's Basement, Babylon, which we'll be talking about.
We have to finish Babylon. We should have finished it for today. Yeah. I should be caught up, but I'm not.
But either way, another good detective anime there. Shout out to Mother's Basement. Go follow them on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But Planet With. You know what? That's my favorite mech anime right there. That is a good mech anime. Yeah. I showed you a few episodes. We saw some mech stuff.
Yeah. It was very bizarre, but I think it was something that I would watch. It is kind of bizarre.
It gets more bizarre. I think it is something you would watch. It's actually based on a novel.
Really?
I want to say an H.G. Wells novel, actually.
Really?
Would you believe that? Yeah.
No, I would not believe that.
Yeah, no, wow. I think it's an H.G. Wells novel.
Yeah.
Good show. Short. I want to say 13 episodes. If not 13 episodes, it really felt like 13 episodes. It went by really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of those shows where you kind of know the last episode before you finish the first episode.
Yeah.
The dramatic thrust is established very early on, where like the main character has to like defeat this dragon who destroyed his planet.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the entire show leads you to that showdown. Nice characters. As you can see, I think with both of us, we really like shows that have storylines that are sort of referencing secrets that unfold during the course of the show.
Yeah.
Planet With is one of those where you sort of see, I don't want to say conspiracy, definitely like there's this whole intergalactic federation that's out there that's doing crazy shit that becomes apparent over the course of the show, which I really liked. And a show that's really just about like positive vibes, right? Like a lot of like really just like, love other people, believe in yourself, but not in like a kitschy way. Like
Yeah.
it shows sort of personal development within an episode for like each character from like the main protagonist, and also like the main character is actually like an antagonist.
Hmm.
It starts off where he's like the bad guy stopping these people who are like saving the earth from aliens. Interesting show. I recommend it. I think I would say if you don't like it by episode 3, I mean I think this is a good rule for most shows, but if you don't like it by episode 3, you can drop it. But if you really don't like episode 1, you can drop it. I don't really like mech anime, and it was a little too mechy for me.
Yeah.
It's also funny. Also, like, one of the only shows that can make me laugh.
All right, I think for our final bit before we get into the detective shows, I want to bring up two things. One, we
Demon
talked about
Slayer.
this. Yeah, I have to add that to my honorable mentions. Demon Slayer. Obviously, Demon Slayer. I think
Demon Slayer's good, folks.
I have to sit on it. I mean,
Go
obviously,
watch
it's
it.
really good. I love Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
But I don't think, for me at least,
If
it's
you haven't
in my
watched
top
it,
5.
well,
The
I'm
one
telling you
episode
right now.
of it is in my top
Yeah.
5. But I
Um,
don't think the show as a whole is I'm not there yet to really, do a deep dive in my own
If you
head
haven't
about
watched it, and you're like a lot of our friends who are like, "Oh, I hear it's really good, but I don't know if I should watch it. I don't know." Take this as your command to watch it. It's a good show,
Yeah.
and the movie that's coming out in like we don't know when, but this
I've heard
you
so
know,
I've heard now
I would think
I've
definitely
looked into it,
2020.
conflicting things. Seems like it might be in the fall,
Okay.
but potentially in the summer as well. I don't think any earlier
Okay.
than that though.
Yeah, that movie's gonna slap. That's gonna be an
Yeah.
all-timer.
Definitely.
And what's the other thing you need to talk about?
The other thing I was going to bring up was I talked last week about about a show called Ishuzoku
Oh,
Reviewers,
yeah.
which means interspecies reviewers.
Uh-huh.
Now, on the cover, I didn't really look into it, but
Mhm.
the cover art is just a bunch of busty anime girls,
Yeah.
and I was really confused. I was like, why is this rated number 9 of all time? How is this show, this seemingly just ecchi fantasy show, how is this number 9? Well, it turns out I was right. It was a glitch or something, because it's currently rocking a 7.59. I don't know how it at all was ever at number 9.
I'd like to imagine that we actually canceled the show. Like we called it out, and my anime list like officially like
Yeah.
canceled it in the
Yeah,
Twitter sense. I'm
have
sure the
clout.
show will get a second season.
It might, honestly. Well, the studio
I'm,
was
I'm certain. I'm willing to bet.
the studio was, I don't know how to say this, but Passion, probably just Passion.
Yeah. I don't know.
They did Raka Braves of the Six Flowers. That's
Yeah.
fairly popular, nearly 500,000
Throwback.
members on that one. But really nothing else. They did.
I want to say that was 2012, 2013.
2012. It was 2015.
Oh wow, jeez.
Yeah, they
Okay.
did one season of High School DxD as well. So there's inspiration for
Well.
the anime girls there too.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's our segments for now
Oh
until
wait,
we get to the
I
detective
forgot
shows.
about High School DxD. Let me adjust my top 5. Hold on. All right. Now on to detective shows with our guest. Hey guys, it's John here. So after about 4 hours of getting our guest on, we finally got him on and talked for quite some time. So we decided to just split it into 2 episodes. We're gonna upload them both at the same time. Feel free to tune in. Thanks, guys.